let's go here, Kerry. You're going to get back to the NFL in the third hour, but let's do some NBA.
Yes.
And I know you're a Dallas Mavericks fan.
I am.
But Luka Doncic, man, people aren't feeling him, players, and maybe they don't want to play with him. I mean, this is stuff that's going out. Shay is our producer today. Rob G's off.
Yep.
Shay, what do you have? You have some details, right, of some NBA players who kind of like saying some bad stuff about Luka.
Yeah. So two things came out today, but I'll go over the first one first. So Grant Williams made his Hornets debut on Saturday night against the Grizzlies after getting traded from the Mavs. After the game, Williams actually took some shots at his former teammate Luka Doncic. In his post-game press conference, Williams stated, "It's great to get a win for the city and really play for the jerseys that's across your chest and not the one on your back." So I was fortunate to be a part of a team that's really wanted to win. It was super exciting. The play style was fun. Everybody touched the ball. We trusted one another, a team that had never played with each other or practiced with one another. Every single person seemed like they had each other's back. So a lot of shots right there, but
Did anybody follow up on that? Like once you throw that out there, not somebody's back. I mean, if you're a reporter sitting there, you got to go.
Who are you talking about?
Yeah, who you talking? What do you mean?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, no. So I haven't seen if anyone followed up on the question itself, but in the article that I'm reading, that's what I see. But I'll follow up on that question and I'll see. But he wasn't the actual only one to kind of send shots his way on Tuesday. Well, these aren't necessarily shots, but on Tuesday, Wizards forward Kyle Kuzma revealed to The Athletic that he was presented with a trade that would actually have sent him to Dallas, but he decided he would rather stay in Washington. He was asked why he wanted to remain with the Wizards instead of joining the Mavericks. Kuzma answered, "In my career, I won a championship, so I understand that when we play this game of basketball, it's not about contending for a playoff spot. It's about contending for an NBA championship. There's only like 3 or 4 contenders, true contenders. I just feel like our timelines didn't add up."
Wow. That sounds to me, Kerry, like he didn't want to play with Luka.
Yeah.
And we gotta admit, and you know this, he's a different type of player, needs the basketball.
Yes.
Like that's just
Yeah.
But I don't know, and you watch them, that's your team.
Yeah.
If they will ultimately be able to win with a guy dominating the basketball that much. Last year when they got Kyrie, they didn't even make the playoffs.
Yeah. Yeah, no, the thing about Dallas, and I'm gonna preference this by saying Luka's, in my opinion, the MVP of the league right now. He's playing. He's playing.
No, everybody doesn't have. The only people I think they have the Joker again, don't they? And the straw poll?
Probably. But we got some time left. But just the way he's playing, even defending, which has been his knock forever, he's putting effort on that end. He's playing well. But I'll say this about Dallas: the brand of basketball that they play, number one, it's boring. We know what we're going to see every game. They're going to run high pick and roll. He's going to make every play. He's going to make every pass. And if you're a role player going to that situation, you have to be a specific type of role player. You got to be a role player that, number one, knows that, and you're a dead-eye shooter. Because he's trying to spoon-feed everything. And so as a role player, your 7-8 shots, if you have an off game, if you're 1 for 8, that's a terrible game, right? But if you're hit 3 more of those shots, you're 4 for 8, and that's a great day. But if you're not a knockdown shooter and you're a streaky shooter like most guys in the league are, if you're not involved in the play, if you're not touching the ball, if you're not cutting, you're not moving, you're not in rhythm, you're not going to knock those shots down consistently. And so then, if you're going to that situation like a Kuzma, somebody that can make his own play, he's going to want to be involved. He's going to want to touch the ball. They had a guy in Kristaps Porzingis when he was there, obviously playing all-star level basketball in Boston because he's involved.
He wasn't involved in Dallas.
He wasn't involved, and that's the only issue with Luka. And that's the only issue with any type of player that plays that way. We can go back to James Harden. He could never win it because players are not going to be in rhythm. You can go to Luka Doncic now. You can go even with Luka's teammate right now, Kyrie. Kyrie's one of the best isolation guys as well. But if you're not getting guys touches and moving the ball and actually being in rhythm, players aren't going to want to play with you. And I think that's kind of what we're having happen right now.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting. I did find that story. There's a straw poll about NBA insiders, and they do have the Joker now that Embiid is hurt.
Yeah.
As the leading to win his 3rd MVP. You remember last year they kind of you know,
A little controversy.
yeah, it was controversial because they didn't want him to win 3 in a row.
Yeah.
And then he wound up going to the postseason and having an unbelievable postseason run and looked like the MVP, didn't he?
Yes, he did. Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, you can give it to him every year if you want.
Yeah, I mean, 26.5 points, 12.2 rebounds, and 9 assists. I mean, what? Yeah. I mean, he's killing it.
He's killing it.
But anyway, I guess my point is with Luka, it's one of those things. You might want, and I know they went to the Western Conference Finals a couple years ago, right?
Yep,
and then they got blown out in Game 7 or whatever.
Yep.
But if you're Luka, do you understand that you can't or won't be able to win if you continue to play that way? Do you know, this is how he's effective, right? By having the basketball.
Yes.
But you're trying to win a championship. So something has to give.
Think about it, Rob, right? We go back to the Jordan days when he was the one that was trying to make every play by himself without the scheme, without the triangle. They did not win. When they implemented an offense where he actually gives the ball up, he gets to a spot. If he catches it in the triangle, obviously you're going to go to him in the clutch and go to moments, but you got to get other guys involved to win.
But if you remember in The Last Dance, and I thought it was awesome, they had the video.
Yeah.
Michael gave up the ball. It wasn't because he was afraid to shoot at the end. Like, that's what the LeBron fans are always like.
For sure.
Is that, and on that video, I remember watching it.
Yep.
And he went to Steve Kerr and said, "Be ready."
Yes.
He didn't go, "Oh my God, it's hot potato. I don't want to take this." He told Steve Kerr before the play.
Instilling confidence.
Am I right? Be ready.
100%. Yes.
I'm going to throw you the ball. It's going to be open. Make the shot.
Yep.
That.
You got to trust your teammates, man.
You have to trust your teammates. He knew Steve Kerr would be open.
Yep.
Steve Kerr made a big shot, and John Paxson made a big shot for the Bulls.
Yep.
And both were the same exact situations.
Yes.
And that's what I'm wondering. If you're Dallas, you got this talented superstar.
Yes. Yeah.
But are you going to win?
You're not going to win that way, Rob. I don't care who it is. I mean, we've seen it. James Harden, we can talk about how bad he is now. Well, he's not bad now. He's still playing well. But how demanding of trades and all these things and how he's played out the last couple of years. But James Harden in his prime, he's doing the same thing Luka was doing right now. I mean, Luka's, I think, a little better, but he was doing the same thing. He was getting them to the Western Conference Finals or whatever, and he would flame out. You can't win with that style of play. He has to trust those guys more, and they have to put more variance in their offense.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting going forward and just how this team comes together. Because at first they thought when they got Kyrie, they're off and running, and then to not make the playoffs last year was pretty bad.
Yeah, that was bad. They were injured. It was a lot of things going on last year, Rob, with those guys. It wasn't just everything to do with that trade. Yeah, chemistry. Kyrie was in and out. He was a little hurt. Luka was a little hurt down the stretch. Luka was a little out of shape down the stretch last year as well.
How surprised are you that an athlete of that caliber, he comes in, and when you see him, the first thing you want to do is push your finger into his stomach. I mean, that's just
well, you know what it is. You know what it is. It was one of those things where he was injured, so he couldn't even do as much cardio and get in shape as much. He had to preserve his body, and so it was like a balance. I mean, it was a lot of things last year, but this year he's looking good. He's in shape, playing well, but you're not going to win a championship that way.
Yeah, it's a weird situation to be in.
Yeah.
Because you can't totally change him, right? You can't. You're going to ask him to do something else.
You're going to have to find a way to get him to do something else. And again, he can post up. He can do all these things, Rob. You know what I mean? Like, he can get in the post and he can be effective that way as well. He can be off the ball, but he's not a good spot-up shooter. So, you're going to take the ball out of your best player hands to be a spot-up shooter sometimes. I think he has to be a decoy some for them to win, but it's going to be a hard ask for somebody that's young and in his prime the way he is.